But let's bring you the big story, the latest update in the Rhea Chakraborty case. And it appears now, after a marathon grilling of 8 hours for the second consecutive day, Rhea Chakraborty has still not been arrested by the Narcotics Control Bureau. Instead, she's been summoned again by the NCB. During the intense grilling, Rhea reportedly broke down when confronted with her younger brother Shovik, but denied that she had ever consumed drugs and said that whatever drugs she had procured was for her boyfriend Sushant Singh Rajput, the actor. Rhea has also now turned round and accused Sushant Singh Rajput's sister Priyanka of being the one who gave the late actor an illegal psychotropic drug. The case sees many twists and turns every day. Take a look at the latest.
Rhea Chakraborty, the prime accused in Sushant Singh Rajput's death case, is questioned for the second day by the Narcotics Control Bureau. And at the end of questioning on Monday that lasted more than 8 hours, Rhea was allowed to go home. The arrest that was expected did not take place. Rhea, however, is not off the hook. She is summoned for a third round of questioning on Tuesday.
रिया चक्रवर्ती को नियमानुसार घर भेज दिया गया है. उनको कल सुबह वापस बुलाया गया. इंट्रोगेशन कल कंटिन्यू किया जाएगा.
India Today has inside details of the grilling that took place on Monday. Sources say Rhea broke down when confronted with her younger brother Shovik, who is already in NCB's custody. Shovik too broke down. In a stunning revelation, Rhea informed NCB officials that Sushant hooked on to ganja in 2016 during the shooting of his movie Kedarnath. Sources say Rhea claimed that the late actor made her send messages to procure drugs. Sources tell India Today that Narcotics Control Bureau questioned Rhea on many angles. It asked her if she was involved in selling drugs, if she used to consume drugs, did she use to spike Sushant's drinks with drugs, and if she supplied drugs to Bollywood through her brother Shovik. In a new twist, Rhea has filed a police complaint against Sushant's sister Priyanka Singh. Rhea claims that despite knowing Sushant was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, Priyanka got medicines prescribed for him through a doctor not qualified to deal with mental health issues.
During second day of her questioning, Rhea Chakraborty once again denied the allegations that she has ever consumed drugs, and also she goes on to say that it was Sushant Singh Rajput who was consuming drugs. But NCB sources have told India Today that on third day of her questioning, she might face arrest because they have enough evidence against Rhea Chakraborty. With camera person Prashant Bhatt, this is Munish Pandey in Mumbai for India Today.
Let's though turn from the narcotics angle to the other angle, because this case has taken many twists and turns. More than 80 days after Sushant Singh Rajput died at his Bandra flat, one of the accusations made against Rhea Chakraborty was that she had laundered money, that 15 crores which was to be paid to Sushant Singh Rajput was taken away by Rhea Chakraborty and her family. That was the basis for the original FIR that was filed by the family, Sushant's family in Bihar, and then became the subject of a CBI and ED investigation. This missing 15 crores has remained a mystery for all these weeks. But today we are going to bust this story once and for all. India Today, in this mega exclusive report, has now found that the writer and director who cast Sushant Singh Rajput and Rhea in a proposed movie actually now has a very different story to tell. Today, the lie of the 15 crores is about to be busted. Take a look at just why it could well be that Rhea Chakraborty is the victim and not necessarily the villain. Take a look.
A mysterious death, the drug angle, and 15 crore rupees gone missing allegedly. Sushant Singh Rajput's family has accused his girlfriend of siphoning off the actor's money. The alleged amount is linked to a proposed film project of writer-director Rumi Jaffrey and producer Vashu Bhagnani featuring Sushant and Riya. According to her, it was all verbal and nothing was put on paper.
वाशु सर जो हमारे प्रोड्यूसर थे वाशु भगनानी और रूमी सर के साथ एक मीटिंग हुई थी जिसमें वाशु भगनानी ने सर ने सुशांत को कहा था उनकी म्यूचुअल अंडरस्टैंडिंग में आई थिंक द अमाउंट वाज 15 crores दैट वाज डिसाइडेड एंड सुशांत इस बात से काफी खुश था और ये फरवरी के महीने में हुआ ऑन पेपर कुछ साइन नहीं हुआ ये वर्बल अग्रीमेंट था जिससे सब लोग खुश थे पर अनफॉर्चुनेटली लॉकडाउन हो गया था उसके बाद एंड हम लोग मई में शुरू करने वाले थे कॉन्ट्रैक्ट वर्क मार्च अप्रैल में शुरू हो जाता जो पोस्टपोन हो गया जिस वजह से कोई भी ट्रांजैक्शन उनके बीच में भी नहीं हुआ.
India Today has probed these claims. Our investigative reporter reached out to Rumi Jaffrey. The writer-director is being questioned by multiple agencies in connection with the Sushant case. Our probe centered around one key question. Did he or did he not pay Sushant Singh Rajput for his film? Listen in to what Rumi Jaffrey reveals.
सर तो एग्रीमेंट आप लोग की साइन हो गई थी क्या उसमें सुशांत के
आपका
साथ?
तो इसीलिए नाम आया था ना कि आप फिल्म कर रहे थे.
हाँ, फिल्म.
तो सर ट्रांजैक्शन जो 15 करोड़ की 18 करोड़ की जो बात आ रही है
दुनिया में इंडस्ट्री में तुम भी हो.
हाँ.
ये एक फिल्म में जब 15 करोड़ कोई प्रोड्यूसर किसी हीरो को मतलब बोल जा किसी को दे ही नहीं सकता और एक साथ तो बात ही अलग साइनिंग अमाउंट नहीं पूरा प्राइस ही नहीं हो.
जो एफआईआर लिखा गया था उसमें ये था कि 15 करोड़ रुपए हेर फेर है. ठीक है. अब वो पता चला कि एक फिल्म साइन हो रही थी जो वाशु भगनानी और आपका नाम
जो हो नहीं पाई.
हाँ लेकिन ये था कि शायद उसके पैसे मिल गए.
एग्रीमेंट ही साइन नहीं हुआ. किस्मत था वो क्या था लॉकडाउन हो गया.
लेकिन आप लोगों ने कोई पैसे नहीं दिए.
नहीं एग्रीमेंट साइन नहीं हुआ.
Unaware he's being filmed, Rumi Jaffrey of God You Are Great fame insisted no formal agreement was signed with Sushant Singh Rajput. God You Are Great fame insisted no formal agreement was signed with Sushant Singh Rajput for a proposed film featuring him and Riya. According to him, paying 15 crore rupees was out of the question. Rumi Jaffrey explained payments in general are made in installments.
चाहे आप डायरेक्टर हो चाहे हीरो हो चाहे हीरोइन हो चाहे कोई भी उसका जो अमाउंट अगर तय हो गया जैसे मेरा तय हो गया कि भाई रूमी जाफरी को 100 रुपये मिलना तो उसमें फिर ये होता है मोड ऑफ पेमेंट जिसे होता है कि भाई आपको 5 रुपये साइनिंग अमाउंट मिलेगा. मैं बोलूँगा नहीं यार थोड़ा ज़्यादा दो वो ज़्यादा नहीं कोई अरे 10% तो दो यार अरे यानी पिक्चर शुरू होने को ले लेना है ना. फिर होता है कि प्री प्रोडक्शन पे 5% मिलेगा फिर फर्स्ट शेड्यूल पे इतना मिलेगा फिर सेकंड शेड्यूल पे इतना मिलेगा फिर इतना डबिंग पे मिलेगा फिर इतना रिलीज पे मिलेगा.
एक साथ एक मुश्त कभी पैसा नहीं मिलता.
कभी किसी को भी नहीं.
अच्छा ये भी इसमें आ रहा था कि सुशांत हीरोइन और अब रिया को हीरोइन कर
वाली फिल्म जो है इसमें रिया है.
The Enforcement Directorate is struggling to locate the suspected money trail. According to official sources, no concrete evidence of the alleged misappropriation has emerged so far. With Mohammad Hizbullah and Arvind Ojha in Mumbai, this is India Today's special investigation team.
So the money laundering charge against Riya Chakrabarti made by Sushant Singh Rajput's family is falling apart. The ED has no case. Therefore, I want to raise certain questions tonight, questions that need to be confronted. This is not a Banana Republic channel, my friends, which is why we will give you the stories that you need to hear. Is Riya, therefore, a victim of a witch hunt launched by Banana Republic channels in this country? Is the drug probe being botched up? The missing 15 crore lie, has it been busted? Why then was Sushant Singh Rajput's family targeting Riya Chakrabarti? Just some of the questions I'm going to raise tonight. And I'm joined by some of the country's top cops and criminal lawyers to understand just where this leaves the case. Yashovardhan Azad, former IPS officer who's been with us on several programs on this issue. Shantanu Sen, former joint director of the CBI. And Nitin Pradhan, one of Mumbai's top criminal lawyers, are with us. This case, gentlemen, started off with nepotism, then went to mafia, then went to money laundering, then went to murder, and now has come to narcotics and whether Riya Chakrabarti was procuring ganja, which she says she was doing for Sushant Singh Rajput. This is the trajectory of this case. One of the key elements was money laundering. That case has now got busted, it appears. There was no money transferred into Ria's account. Where does this leave, therefore, the main case, and is the focus now only on the drug angle? I want to get each of you to answer this question. Nitin Pradhan, why don't you start? Because you are a lawyer. You will be able to tell us the twists and turns. What does this mean? NCB now seems to be investigating Ria Chakrabarti. And from what we know, she has said she did not even consume drugs. She procured them for Sushant Singh Rajput. How do you see the case now, sir?
Frankly speaking, there are 2-3 aspects needs to be answered by both sides, particularly the investigating agencies. The agency must explain, but it is too early to explain rather, because CBI has taken over the investigation about 2 or 3 weeks back. And thereafter, and before that, Mumbai police was in charge for almost 1.5 months or more than that, almost 2 months. Whatever has happened between whatever the Mumbai police has done, that doing is yet to be documented, or it has not been disclosed to the press, or it is not in public domain so far. As regards the CBI is concerned, I feel somewhere that whatever is happening and whatever is coming in the newspapers, whatever is in the news media, this is something which is not officially disclosed by the CBI.
Sir, my point, Mr. Pradhan, is that there was a charge which was made that Ria has taken 15 crores. That was the basis why the ED got in. That was the FIR. Now the person who allegedly paid is saying, I never paid the money. No money accounts are being found. Therefore, I'm asking you, is the only case, therefore, now which has to be looked at is the case that involves the NCB?
No, frankly speaking, this is whatever that is happening in this case, it is unprecedented. Virtually, there are 2 sides taken by 2 different political spectrums, and unnecessarily, it is really, we don't understand, we have to be the common man, that what is happening actually, because on one side is one political party, other side is another political party. What they are doing and what they
Sir, forget the politics, Mr. Pradhan. I am asking you as a lawyer. 15 crore was the charge of money laundering. 3 agencies were tracking it. It started with Mumbai police, then went to CBI, then ED, and now it has come to NCB. What is going on?
This is what I as a lawyer am asking you, and as a common man also, I cannot separate myself from that entity also. I really don't understand what is going on, and this is the question which is posed by millions others, that what is happening there. And no one is understanding, no one is knowing, and no one is being provided with the right answers and some clues.
Okay,
let me take that.
Right,
Rajdeep, you are right, absolutely, that it started with money laundering by the complaint which was registered, or the FIR registered in Bihar. Thereafter, there was some faint allegation somewhere that this is not a suicide, this is a murder. And now today we see that is some connections with narcotic connections are being explored and investigated by the narcotic bureau. Now, whole trouble is that these 3 different subjects are being handled. One is the first initial one was the 420 IPC, that is cheating. Number 2, either this is a offense of abetment to commit suicide under 306 IPC, no one knows, or this is a case of 302 IPC, no one knows. Now this is with regard to the bodily harm, and third is the narcotics. Now these 3 aspects are totally different and separate aspects.
So,
and it is being trying to be explored. We, the people, we are confused.
So if one of Mumbai's top criminal lawyers is confused, you can imagine what the average citizen is. Let me bring in Shantanu Sen. Shantanu Sen, one of the key elements of this case was supposed to be money laundering, and it was supposed to be based on 15 crores that were allegedly put in Ria's account. Now it is we have done this investigation that shows that the writer-director said, I never paid the money. So therefore there is no money, and ED has not found it. So the ED case is getting busted. the CBI is exploring abetment to suicide, and now we've got the NCB which has come into the picture. How do you explain these three agencies of the country after one on one woman?
Very unusual and very, very puzzling. You will recall, Rajdeep, that the Patna police registered an FIR where this 15 crores was mentioned among other things. And within days, ED registered a case of money laundering. That itself puzzled me very much because normally, once the investigation is over and the charge sheet proves by the investigating agency that they have come across evidence of money being misappropriated, it is then the ED steps in for a money laundering investigation. Here, the ED stepped in within days of Patna police filing an FIR. It did not wait for CBI registration. That is number one, which puzzled me from the very beginning. And I saw something fishy in the ED stepping in. And then we had prolonged ED inquiries, days in, days out. We saw Shauvik, Rhea Chakravarti, masked on, mobbed on the roads daily going into the office of the Director of Enforcement. Now, if the Director of Enforcement had found one little clue of money laundering, it would have immediately arrested because their investigation allows arrest and allows confession made to ED officers as evidence. Obviously, ED found nothing. So ED did not arrest. So
no, but should the ED be telling the country? Should the ED be telling the country that we found nothing, rather than carrying out this witch hunt? Should the ED not say that we didn't find anything? Isn't that what a professional force should do?
I would, you see, now it is up to the lawyers of Rhea Chakravarti to be on upfront. They should take the statement, the failure of the ED to find any matter relating to misappropriation or money laundering, and the statements which they have come on public record of the writer-director, and confront the court where the FIR has been filed and say, come and give evidence. After all, this is absolutely absolutely a witch hunt as far as the charge of money laundering and as far as misappropriation is concerned.
So you're saying actually use what has been told to us by Rumi Jaffrey, put it before the court, and the ED will then have to answer the questions on why was this case of money laundering made out prima facie, so without actually even making preliminary inquiries. Let me get in Yashovardhan Azad at this stage. Yashovardhan Azad, you've got Rhea Chakravarti now allegedly being questioned for drug procurement and possibly for drug consumption in a case, as I said, that started with nepotism and then in between was about money laundering. Today we have shown in this story the money laundering claim is absolutely bogus. Where does this leave the entire ED investigation?
Rajdeep, I'm very happy. First, you have conclusively established that the money trail has gone cold. Not cold, in fact, it is dead now. Mind you, as the 15 crore which was mentioned in the FIR, apart from that, there were allegations of criminal breach of trust, stealing of money, etc., etc. And now, since July the 29th, when the investigation has been taken up, it is clear that nothing is left in the Enforcement Directorate investigation. Now, where does it leave us as far as the abetment of suicide is concerned? There were a lot of other offences, illegal confinement, which again is busted. The breach of trust is busted. The money misappropriation is also busted. And now we come to the last thing, that is the drug trail. Now, the way the arrests have been conducted in this case, let's appreciate that Rhea Chakravarti has gone through almost more than 75 hours of questioning by all the agencies so far. And it is yet to be established whether there is prima facie any kind of offense against her, which should put her in custody of finally the NCB. The drug peddlers who were caught with 53 grams, and I believe there are some more seizures with LSD, etc., etc., took the names of 3 people in the staff, Miranda, Dipesh, and one, through whom the procurement was done. It's a very labored kind of an exercise. It went to Shovik and Ria. Now, Shovik was arrested on the basis of WhatsApp chat, on the strength that a criminal conspiracy would be created, that all of them were involved in procuring, etc., etc. But one of the most important things in such cases is actual possession, because unless you are caught with something, it is not proved that the transaction is complete. So that's a very important thing which has been missing out. The second part is to prove that Ria is going to be a part of a drug cartel or something is a little difficult to imagine.
No, but it appears, Yashovardhan Azad, precisely for that reason that let us get Ria by hook or by crook. You started with abetment to suicide. Now it is turning out Ria did not spend the last few days before Sushant's tragic death, but it was his sister who spent those days with him. Number 2, the allegation was made of murder, which again is not part of the CBI's FIR at the moment. Number 3, money laundering was part of the ED's investigation. Today our story is busting that lie. The 15 crores was never paid. And now we have come down to the Narcotics Control Bureau, which at last count said 59 grams. 59 grams of ganja was with allegedly procured by Shovik. He may have procured more. They claim, and this is backed by what Samuel Miranda and Dipesh Sawant, who were working for Sushant, say, they were all procured for Sushant. Now I want to understand, does the country's top 3 agencies now, are they going to, is the NCB going to look at 59 grams of ganja to arrest her hook or by crook? Is this what we are now come down to?
Yes.
Is this what your great IPS is all about, sir?
Yeah, there's just two more points on this, and that you're absolutely right. So, and she has admitted that she was procuring ganja for him, and for self-use, it is hardly a punishment of about 6 months. It's bailable also. Now, that's one point which we are talking about. But you may be talking a little too early about murder and homicide, because I believe the AIMS team is already there, and they are talking about the ligature mark, which is not consistent with suicide. And secondly, even the viscera is being re-examined to see whether there is traces of any contamination. So you can see the future course of investigation. The complaint filed by Ria and also whatever NCB finds out will be also a part of CBI investigation. If there is some thing which can give the lead that abetment of suicide was caused by any kind of drug administration. Right. And therefore, Ria's complaint will have a tremendous impact on the CBI investigation, because the illegal administration of psychotropic drugs was managed by the sister, and Ria was away from the scene 8th onwards. This has again a very important implication for the future investigation.
Let me get in Nitin Pradhan on the question of drugs. Nitin Pradhan, is it important to prove that the person was in possession? Are WhatsApp chats enough?
Yes, no. Basically, for possession, there are complete and detailed procedure provided for the seizure of the drugs from a particular person, or from the accused carrier or anyone. But the finding of drug and the seizure of drug from a particular person is very essential. But there is one more aspect which is usually shadowed by the charge of conspiracy. If there is a cartel and the drugs are being supplied, and these drugs are being supplied and as a part of the conspiracy or the organized criminal gang, then the question will be the evidence and the nature of evidence and the degree of proof will differ from what Mr. Azad has just now said, that you are required to prove that a particular person is in possession of that particular contraband, and therefore he is probably guilty. This particular aspect is one aspect, but rather about the cartels. For example, I will give you Iqbal Mirchi. Iqbal Mirchi was running one cartel. On this cartel, Iqbal Mirchi was never prosecuted. he was not found for prosecution and he was absconding. He was never extradited to India. English courts refused to accept that the evidence collected by Indian investigating agency was good enough to extradite him.
Sir, forget Iqbal Mirchi. We are talking of 59 grams of ganja here, sir. My point is, please think about this. This is only 50. I know what is troubling me is if 59 grams of ganja is becoming the basis for the Narcotics Control Bureau to investigate for 3 days. That's the confusion.
No doubt about it.
Let's not compare Riya Chakraborty to Iqbal Mirchi now, for God's sake, sir.
Rajdeep, we'll have to wait now, because once they have according to Narcotics Bureau, they have started the investigation about a week before or so. Now let
me bring in Shantanu Sen for a final word. Shantanu Sen, what now? We know that Riya Chakraborty is called tomorrow again. She's been summoned. But the way the trajectory of this case is taken, with 3 investigating agencies in a way, in their own way, handling different aspects of the case. Does that mean that the fact that we have busted one lie on ED, does that suggest in any way that the case isn't as strong as it was made out to be?
As far as the money laundering, the case is busted. There's no doubt about it. As far as Riya's participation in murder, physically is not possible. She was not there. Whether she was in the conspiracy to murder, well, that will come about only when the murder is established. So far, there is no evidence to suggest there is murder. Now there is certainly suicide. Whether there is abetment of suicide is a matter of investigation. Riya has now put in a complaint where she suggests that just before his death, he took psychotropic substances at the instance of his sister. So who did the abetment? The sister? It goes to the sister abetted the suicide, because by making him take psychotropic substances, she's triggered the bipolar disorder or his depression into a suicide. All this is matter of speculation, and it's not easy to prove abetment of suicide. Abetment of suicide has to be proved by concrete evidence that you made the position of the person who committed suicide so difficult. It happens mostly in the dowry death cases. It doesn't happen otherwise. Okay. I don't even remember seeing abetment of suicide outside the dowry death cases. So these complaints, all these 3 complaints, as far as Riya Chakraborty, well, you are right, Rajdeep, there is a smell of witch hunt.
There is a smell of witch hunt. This is the former joint director of CBI saying there is a smell of a witch hunt. These are words that should resonate. As I said, I do not, at this moment, I don't think we should judge Riya Chakraborty either as innocent or guilty, but clearly there is a smell of a witch hunt. We cannot remain a banana republic in the manner that we seem to have become in the last few weeks. On that note, Yashovardhan Azad, Shantanu Sen, and Nitin Pradhan, thanks for joining us. We will, of course, continue to track this story as it takes its twists and turns. Let's turn to the other aspect, which has become a subplot. Actor Kangana Ranaut versus the Maharashtra government. After the actor said that she felt unsafe in Mumbai and compared the city to Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, it has now become a battle between, it appears, the centre and Maharashtra government. Today, Kangana Ranaut was given Y category security by the Home Ministry. The Aghadi government in Maharashtra, led by the Shiv Sena, though, continues its attack on her. Take a look.
It's a path set for collision. It's a blowout that could reap political dividends. It's Kangana versus the Shiv Sena.
जो मुंबई पुलिस की मैं तारीफ करते हुए नहीं थकती थी। आप देख लीजिए मेरे पुराने कोई भी इंटरव्यूज, आज जब वो पालघर की लिंचिंग में साधुओं को के सामने वो कुछ नहीं करते हैं, खड़े रहते हैं, या एक लाचार बात जैसे कि सुशांत के पिताजी उनकी FIR नहीं लेते हैं, मेरी स्टेटमेंट नहीं लेते हैं, तो इस प्रशासन के चलते हुए अगर मैं उनकी निंदा करती हूं, ये मेरी अभिव्यक्ति की आजादी है।
अगर आप देखिए, अगर कंगना जी किसी और शहर में जाकर काम करती, बेंगलोर हो, चेन्नई हो, बड़ौदा हो, और गुजरात के और शहर हो या कलकत्ता हो, और वहाँ के पुलिस के बारे में, वहाँ के सिस्टम के बारे में इस प्रकार की भाषा का प्रयोग अगर वो करते, तो वहाँ के लोग भी उनके भाषा में उनको यही बोलते।
तो अनिल भैया हा आमचा कट्टर कार्यकर्ता, शिवसेनेचा कट्टर कार्यकर्ता, अनेक जण इतर प्रांतातून मुंबईत येतात, महाराष्ट्रात येतात, रोजीरोटी कमवतात, नाव कमवतात. काही जण महाराष्ट्राचं ऋण मानतात, काही जण मानत नाहीत. पण अनिल भैया मात्र राजस्थान मधून इथे आले, पहिले मुंबई, मंचर, आणि मग तिथेही मन रमेना म्हणून मग
What started with just Twitter posts has escalated into a full-blown confrontation. Tearing into the Mumbai police, the Maharashtra government, over the Sushant Singh death probe, Riya Beta and murder conspiracy theorist Kangana, has now been given Y security by the centre, as she promises to come good on her challenge to come to Mumbai on the 9th of September, in the face of massive protests, especially by the Shiv Sena. It all started on the 30th August, when Kangana demanded security from the centre and the Himachal government, saying that she did not trust the Mumbai cops. This one statement snowballed into a mega political fight, and it became Sena versus Kangana. Angry Sena invoked the Marathi pride, going on a warpath against Kangana, burning her posters, telling her she had no right to come back to Mumbai. Not one to back down, Kangana declared that she would be returning to Mumbai from Manali on the 9th September, even claiming that she will make the time of her arrival public. This time she compared Mumbai and its government to the Taliban. The Shiv Sena once again appropriated the Marathi pride card and made a highly unsavory statement. A statement that Kangana did not take lying down.
आपने जिसका भौंडा प्रदर्शन पूरे समाज के सामने, पूरे देश के सामने किया है, वो मानसिकता इसकी जिम्मेदार है। और इस देश की बेटी आपको माफ नहीं करेगी संजय जी। आपने उन सब महिलाओं का शोषण करने वालों को सशक्तिकरण किया है, इस देश की बेटियां आपको माफ नहीं करेगी।
With just 2 days to go for Kangana's return to Mumbai and her latest allegation that the BMC is looking to tear down her office, be rest assured, this fight is far from over. How political it will get, only time will tell. Bureau Report, India Today.
So why category security to Kangana Ranaut, given on the instructions of the Himachal Pradesh government to the home, or the request of the Himachal Pradesh government, which is BJP ruled, to the Home Ministry, which is BJP ruled? What does Jairam Thakur, the Chief Minister of Himachal, have to say? He joins us now. Jairam ji, your government recommended security for Kangana Ranaut. How did you come to the conclusion that she needs security? What was the need for Y category security? This is what he told our sister network Aaj Tak when this question was asked. Listen in.
देखिए, सीधी सी बात है, कंगना रनावत हिमाचल प्रदेश से हैं और हमारी हिमाचल की बेटी है, और हमारी ये नैतिक जिम्मेवारी बनती है कि ऐसी परिस्थिति में जब कंगना जी ने बहुत बेहतर काम करते हुए फिल्म इंडस्ट्री में बहुत छोटी सी बैकग्राउंड से संघर्ष करते हुए इस मुकाम को हासिल किया, प्रदेश का नाम रोशन किया और उसके बाद देश का नाम रोशन किया, ऐसी परिस्थिति में जब उनको लग रहा है कि मैं सुरक्षित नहीं हूं, उनके परिवार को लग रहा है कि मैं सुरक्षित नहीं हूं, उनके पिताजी ने लिख करके भी दिया, और ऐसी में हमने स्टेट गवर्नमेंट की ओर से उस थ्रेट परसेप्शन का थोड़ा असेसमेंट किया, उसमें हमको लगा कि हकीकत है इस वक्त उनको मदद करनी चाहिए, और इसलिए हमने हिमाचल प्रदेश सरकार की ओर से उनको सुरक्षा मुहैया उनके निवास मनाली में करवाने का इंतजाम किया। और उसके साथ साथ में मुझे ये भी कहना है कि इस सारे विषय को लेकर के केंद्र सरकार ने भी, मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ होम अफेयर्स की ओर से भी जब इसको असेस किया गया तो उनको वाई कैटेगरी की सिक्योरिटी देने का एक निर्णय हुआ और उस निर्णय के मुताबिक सीआरपीएफ के जवान जो एक दस्ता जो है कमांडोज का, उनकी सुरक्षा के लिए रहेगा।
Aaj Tak also asked the Himachal Chief Minister. The opposition says the decision to grant Kangana security is politically motivated. ये पूरी राजनीति से प्रेरित है. It is center versus Maharashtra government. Listen to what Mr. Thakur had to say.
सीधी सी बात है कि जिस तरह से उनका मूवमेंट है, यहां से 9 तारीख को उनका मूवमेंट हिमाचल से चंडीगढ़ और चंडीगढ़ के बाद उनने मुंबई जाना है और मुंबई में जिस प्रकार से जो हालात बने हैं, परिस्थितियां बनी हैं, जिस प्रकार से उनको वहां की महाराष्ट्र की सरकार के एक वरिष्ठ मंत्री ने विशेष तौर से टिप्पणी की है उनके वहां पर आने पर, तो ऐसे में ये हमारी जिम्मेवारी बनती है, हम उस जिम्मेवारी का निर्वहन कर रहे हैं। इसमें राजनीति का कोई लेना देना नहीं है। और मैं सीधी सी बात कहना चाहता हूं, कई बार ऐसी परिस्थितियां इस प्रकार की जब होती है तो सामान्य व्यक्ति को भी सुरक्षा मुहैया करवाने की बात आती है। उसमें हिमाचल प्रदेश सरकार ने आज से पहले भी किया है।
लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं क्या ये केवल शिवसेना जो महाराष्ट्र में उनके साथ टकराव करने के लिए है कि टू कॉर्नर द शिवसेना गवर्नमेंट? दैट्स व्हाट वी आस्क। लिसन टू मिस्टर ठाकुर अगेन।
नहीं, मुझे लगता कि उस तरह से इसको लेने की आवश्यकता नहीं है बिल्कुल भी, क्योंकि हमारी बात सिर्फ इतनी है कि वहां के एक वरिष्ठ मंत्री ने बहुत अलग तरह की टिप्पणी करते हुए उस तरह से जो वांछित नहीं थी, और भारतीय संविधान के अनुसार जो है कोई भी नागरिक भारत के किसी कोने में जा सकता है, और ऐसे में वहां की जिम्मेवारी, उस सरकार की जिम्मेवारी बनती है कि उस नागरिक की सुरक्षा की बात जो है सुनिश्चित करे। तो ऐसे में मंत्री ही इस प्रकार की बात कहे तो वो सचमुच में चिंता का विषय है। इसलिए हमने ये निर्णय किया है और हमारा सिर्फ राजनीति से कोई लेना देना इस विषय का है। सीधी सी बात है, कंगना जी मुंबई जा रही हैं कुछ दिनों के लिए और वहां जाने के लिए जो है उनके पिताजी ने हमसे आग्रह किया कि बेटी को सुरक्षा की आवश्यकता है और हमने वो सुरक्षा उपलब्ध करवाई है।
लेकिन जिस तरह से कंगना ने भी महाराष्ट्र सरकार को टारगेट किया, लोग कह रहे हैं कंगना भी पॉलिटिक्स कर रही है। शी इज बेसिकली बैटिंग फॉर बीजेपी। वो बीजेपी की राजनीति कर रही है। दैट्स द क्वेश्चन वी आस्क मिस्टर ठाकुर। लिसन इन।
देखिए, मैं इन सारी चीजों में देखिए फिर वो बहुत ज्यादा विषय आगे पीछे जाते जाते कहीं और जाता है, तो मैं सिर्फ इतनी ही बात कह रहा हूं। मैं बहुत स्पेसिफिक होकर के, राजनीति इसमें कहीं भी नहीं है, ना आनी चाहिए। और उनके पिताजी ने आग्रह किया कि बेटी की सुरक्षा की आवश्यकता है, मदद चाहिए, मदद की है।
That was the Himachal Chief Minister defending the decision of the centre to provide Kangana Ranaut with Y security. Your and my money, the taxpayers' money for VVIP security. Let's take a break at this point. When we return, the story that perhaps is the far more important story. India crosses the 42 lakh mark in COVID cases. 90,000 cases in a single day. On that very day, metros are back across the country in a staggered manner. How are they functioning? We'll have a ground report. You're watching the news today. News without the noise. I have been a newsman for more than 3 decades, grappling with issues, reporting the stories of our times. My hair has gone grey, but the aim hasn't changed. Pursuing the news, seeking the truth, putting people first. Forget the noise. We need to tell the stories that matter, now more than ever before. Which is why I bring you the News Unlocked. Stories beyond the headlines. Every weeknight at 10 p.m. Only on India Today Television.
For more news and updates, you can log on to our website indiatoday.in or download the India Today app now.
Beyond the doses of lively gossips and paparazzi, he has left behind obsession and made room for open expression.
Ranbir Singh or Ranbir Kapoor? You're asking me whether me or Ranbir. Can we do the original Tamma Tamma? Because I love that track.
Dusting off the stardust from the stars and bringing out everything that makes them human.
You are probably the only guy who's never done a kissing scene on screen.
No, I'm not comfortable with them at all.
Join Sushant Mehta in the club, only on India Today TV. From covering the pandemic.
It is very easy to criticize the medical fraternity, but when you visit ground zero, you realize why the doctors are placed second only to God. With camera person Vaibhav Kangutkar, this is Pankaj Upadhyay in Mumbai, reporting for India Today.
To covering the action at the border.
These young men will be facing Chinese aggression if this continues for many more months. With camera person Satya and Bakir Joe in Leh, Abhishek Bhalla for India Today.
Grounded in journalism, on the ground reporting, only on India Today TV.
So sorry.
अरे भैया मोर, तुम नाचो, मैं गाता हूँ वंस मोर। पीछे कांग्रेस की एक मीटिंग हुई थी ताकि नया कांग्रेस अध्यक्ष चुना जा सके। सब कैमरे के सामने आकर बैठ गए, तब कांग्रेस का अध्यक्ष कौन था? मैं था, तुम थे, मैं था, तुम थे, कौन था? कौन था? ये राहुल। सारे नेताओं को बुला लिया और फिर से अध्यक्ष मम्मी को बना दिया, जनता को बना दिया, नेताओं को बना दिया, मोर बना दिया।
Welcome back. Let's turn to the overall India total corona cases, what we've been tracking for months now. The numbers keep rising as testing increases, to be fair as well. Numbers have crossed over 42 lakhs. Deaths are 71,642. Recovery rate 77.3. Mortality rate 1.7%. But remember, 90,000 cases in the last 24 hours alone. Deaths 1,016. So for 3 consecutive days now, the cases have been 90,000 plus, or for the last 48 hours certainly, they've been 90,000 plus. Now amidst all of this, glimmers of hope, signs that people are trying to get back to some kind of normalcy. Today, after 165 days, the metros across the country reopened for commuters. On day one, in the first 4 hours, nearly 4,500 commuters boarded the metro in Delhi, but much below what is normally the case. In fact, across the country, we found a number of people were wary about traveling by metros. Take a look at today's special report.
After more than 5 months, the metro rolled again on Monday. Metro train services resumed in a staggered manner across the country, under elaborate COVID protection measures. In Delhi NCR, the first metro departed from Huda city centre in Gurugram to Delhi University at 7 a.m. As part of Phase 1 operations, Delhi metro services have been resumed only on the Yellow Line.
As soon as you enter the metro station, among the other things, the first thing that you'll have to see is there are these volunteers from the Delhi Metro, those who are the staff, which is in fact standing here. And what they are making sure is not only the thermal checking is being done. The thermal temperature is being taken, and after that, your hands are once again sanitized. These machines are also being kept here to, in fact, for sanitization, and these are also the automatic machines for thermal screening as well. So all these things are part of the precautions which are being taken by the metro services.
From September 9th, the blue and pink lines will start operating. By September 12th, all Delhi metro lines will be made operational.
Never had I ever thought that I would be traveling in a metro coach where it will be like this. There's hardly anybody. Very few people are coming in, and these seats have been very, precisely marked. There are alternate seating arrangements. You can't sit on this seat. Stickers have been put. And even if you want to stand, then if you're standing, you have to stand in front of the seat where nobody else is sitting. So if the gentleman is sitting here, then I will have to stand here so that there is proper social distancing.
By Diwali, the government expects a return to pre-COVID schedule of the metro.
The response was somewhat cautious and hesitant. I think we had a total of 7,500 passengers. But that, in some respects, is a good sign, because it means that people will test the system. I am confident that by the time we reach Diwali, if the virus behaves itself, I always qualify everything by saying virus behaves itself, we will begin to see much larger numbers.
The metro was back on the tracks in Lucknow, Chennai, Kochi, Hyderabad and Bengaluru as well. While every precaution is being taken to minimize the spread of infection, the opening of the metro is a big challenge, particularly at a time when more than 90,000 new cases are being recorded in a day. With Ankit Tyagi in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
Maybe it'll take a little while longer before the metros will actually be bursting with people. I'll tell you, I came to office this morning and there was a traffic jam in the national capital. Let's turn to tonight's good news today. Story, it comes from Ranchi. Amidst the growing anti-China sentiment, women toy makers in Ranchi have tapped into the traditional toy market to take on the Chinese. Let's take a look at these women who, in a sense, are going by Atmanirbhar Bharat slogan. Take a look.
Long before Barbie came, long before Chinese toys flooded Indian markets, children used to play with these dolls. Now a group of women in Ranchi are trying to revive the dying industry of handmade traditional toys. The toys they make do not just reflect Jharkhand's culture, but that of different states. For instance, these are inspired by Rajasthani dolls.
ये जो गुड़िया है ये कपड़े का भूसे का है और इसका जो बॉडी है वो पूरे कपड़े पर बने हुए हैं और भूसा डाल के मैंने बॉडी का पूरा सेफ किया गया है.
Shobha Kumari has been making toys using clothes, wood, fodder and soil for many years now. The raw materials are available at homes, which makes it a low-cost business. These toys are sold in the market for anything between 50 and 5,000 rupees.
गुड़िया जो कम से कम ये कह सकते हैं कि 50 रुपये से शुरू है, जो कि बच्चे खेलते हैं, जिससे छोटा छोटा 4 इंच का 5 इंच का रहता है. इसको आप 50 रुपये से 5,000 10,000 तक का भी आपको गुड़िया बन सकती है. जैसे आप उसमें लागत लगता है या जितना उसका काम बढ़ता है तो ये प्राइस बढ़ जाएगा.
At a time when jobs are scarce, these women have found work and become self-reliant. Through their efforts, they are also doing their bit to preserve traditional art and craft.
कोरोना काल में ये काफी मददगार साबित हुआ कि इसका डिमांड तो कभी कम नहीं हुआ. लोग इसकी खूबसूरती को लोग पसंद करते हैं, इसका बनाने का तरीका जो भी इसका लुक आता है नेचर लुक लोग पसंद करते हैं और इससे जो भी आमदनी होता है बेच के बना के करके तो काफ़ी हम लोग को फायदा मिला कोरोना काल में.
What makes their efforts further special is that these dolls are totally environment friendly. With popular sentiment running against Chinese imports, the toy makers are hoping for more demand for their products. Bureau Report, India Today.